you enjoyed the food. And let's see, important things to remember up front on this table are the 911 sheets, the information from the ADRC, upcoming events, and our cards and anything you need up there. On your tables, you have survey sheets. If you have any comments or comments, criticisms, kudos, please fill them in. They really do help as far as even giving us ideas about what we're going to do next. Okay, and to that point, next Wednesday is actually the third Wednesday, even though that seems really strange, even though it's the 15th. Next Wednesday at 10 to 12 at the Rec Center, we will have coffee, cookies, and conversation. Come when you can, leave when you want, free. So please come. We've been having some really good conversations and it's been really fun. Also, on February 13th, the podiatry nurse nail clinic person will be coming to the island. It is not like our foot clinic. It is a registered nurse, and it does cost $30 to have nail treatment and trimming and a little bit of massage and lotion on your legs too. So you will need a reservation for that. There are flyers with that information also on the table up here. All right, the other thing is next month in February, we're going to do bingo again. Good. Well, first of all, what was really fun about last time when we did bingo, we had 3 people here who were under 45 years of age. And that was so exciting. It was really cool. Yeah, and then one of them came to the coffee, cookies, and conversation later. So, okay. So anyway, so the next one is the bingo, and it's February 20th, and the posters will be up. And the other thing is we're going to do what we did last year, that if you bring an unwrapped white elephant gift, and those of you that were here, we had some really awesome presents, some really awesome gifts last year. And it was fun. It's not a prerequisite for coming. You can come without a gift, but if you have something at home you want to get rid of, don't have it. Not husbands. Sorry. Okay, I've said enough. All right, our speaker of the day, some of you are already familiar with her because you've taken some classes or met her in the store or something. Suzi Hammer, and she is doing our presentation today. Thank you.
It's really a thrill to be here. I've never really used one of these, so bear with me. My background in yoga, closer. My background in yoga basically goes to the mid-90s. And the mid-90s, I wasn't even really aware of yoga very much, and I was going through a really very difficult time in my life emotionally, and it was a tough time. So I was reading self-help books, I was talking to people, I was trying to really find my way back to some grounded place, and I was working out in the gym because I would work out because that was one way to get some energy out, and I saw these people walk in this room with yoga mats, and I walked in after them, and there was this woman sitting there, and I said, "Is this yoga?" And she was this beautiful older woman, white hair, sitting on this mat. She goes, "Yes, dear, it is. Come in." She was an angel, and I go, "Oh, I don't have a mat, I don't have anything." She goes, "I have it all for you." She sets up this beautiful yoga mat with a block and a strap and a blanket, and she said, "Just follow along, dear, and you'll be fine." So I'm like, okay. So I went through the yoga class, and I did as much as I could, and I modified, not a problem. And I modified where I needed to modify, and Shavasana is the last pose in yoga. And Shavasana is where you lay on your mat, you close your eyes, and you integrate all of the beautiful stretching and that you had done in that class. And it's a very restorative pose. So I was laying there, and I had my eyes closed, and she had this beautiful music playing, and then she had the blanket over me, and I could feel the tears come, and I could hear them hit the mat. It would like, and I could just feel it, and I thought, there it is. There was the release. It started to come out. And so I followed Susan for years, and she would go from the rec center to the YMCA. She would go, she was in a church basement one time. I mean, she would take her, she was like the traveling yogini, and she would go everywhere. And I followed her everywhere for years and years and years. But what I'm saying is that people come to yoga for different reasons. Some people come to yoga for exercise. They want to feel better physically. Some people come to yoga, as I did, because I needed help to get through a very difficult time. And I found yoga was helping me. But what surprised me, like 3 weeks, 4 weeks into this yoga routine that I was doing with Susan, I felt stronger. And I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm more flexible and I'm stronger. And that was a benefit that I didn't even realize, that because I was going to help me mentally. So yoga is like a toolbox, and I'm going to talk about all different things today and a little bit about the philosophy, because I want you all to understand that it's more than just the physical practice. That yoga comes from a deep, rich wisdom teachings from India 5,000 years ago. So we're going to talk just briefly about that. But to start out, I thought it'd be really nice to just have everyone come into the present moment and kind of let's center a little bit. So what I'd like you to do is just find a comfortable seat. Just get comfortable where you are, and if you can, and are you comfortable with it, just go ahead and close your eyes. Start to let your shoulders relax away from the ears. And start by taking a nice deep breath. A nice deep inhale through the nose, and an exhale through the mouth. Inhale, and exhale. One more time. Inhale, and exhale. And just start to notice. Notice temperature in the room. Notice any sounds that you're hearing. Noticing your thoughts. And just watching them, let them float away, not attaching. Just letting go thoughts of what you have to do when you leave here, or what you were doing when you came here. And just let them go. Coming into the present moment. Noticing the expansion on the inhale. And then the release of any tension on the exhale. Just breathing and letting go. And then beginning to inhale for 3 and exhale for 4. So inhale, 2, 3, exhale, 2, 3, 4. Just draw the belly in. Inhale, 2, 3, exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, exhale, 2, 3, 4. Just continue this breath on your own for the next few breaths. And just allow your breath to come back to its normal breathing pattern. Taking 2 more breaths. And then just slowly opening your eyes. Beautiful. So that was a centering. And a centering is what we do in yoga class, the first thing. It allows us to bring our energy in. It allows us to just come to a place of calm and to let go so that we can be present for the practice. So all of the yoga classes, at least that I do, I'm a very traditional yogi. I teach according to the traditional yogi. There's a lot of different styles of yoga, but I'm a very traditional yogi. So we do that centering in the beginning, and we also in the end, in Shavasana, we'll do kind of a quiet meditation type thing. So that's how class begins. Let me just see if I can get this to work here. Okay, so we want to know what yoga, the whole point of this presentation is to really learn what is yoga all about. What is yoga all about? So when I say to you it's a liberation teaching, it is a liberation teaching, but what does that really mean? Well, what it means is it makes us feel better. It makes us feel better mentally and physically. So in that way, it liberates us from pain and suffering and sorrow, not only physically, but mentally. So it helps us free the body from stiffness and pain, but it also helps us understand our thoughts because we come into the present moment and we look at our thoughts. So a practice that you can do that's very yogic is this week, if you find yourself angry at someone, really angry, for whatever reason, but you're mad. And so that's becoming the emotion. That means you are feeling it, you're becoming it. It's got power over you. But if you just notice it, instead of becoming it, and say to yourself, oh boy, look at how mad I am. It's almost like the witness self. Look at how mad I am at that person. I am so mad. And then to say, why am I so mad? Why am I getting so upset with this person? And you'll be amazed at many times the answers that come back, that they aren't really what you think. So it's kind of, that's a practice in yoga, is to be a little bit of that witness self. So that's how we understand our thoughts and who we really are. So it connects the mind, the body, the spirit. So today's presentation, we're going to learn a little bit about where yoga comes from, the philosophy behind the classes, and we're going to learn a little bit about exercise and why it's important now, in any stage of life actually. And we're going to experience at the end a little sample of a chair yoga class. So yoga is a philosophy and it has 5 primary paths. So Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa donated her life, gave everything she could to heal and help others. She was a Bhakti Yogi. Bhakti Yoga is the yoga of self-realization through devotion. Karma Yoga is self-realization. It's the yoga of service. And that was Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi. He donated his life to service. His passion was India and freeing India, which he did. He worked and worked and worked and achieved that freedom from England. Hatha Yoga is the yoga of technique, and that's what we do in our class. So some people get self-realization through and freedom and happiness through going to yoga class, and that's what they do, and they become very strong yoginis or yogis. Jnana Yoga is the yoga of study. Some people find that they find comfort in studying not only their own self, but also like they read and learn the history, and they become very knowledgeable. Raja Yoga is the King Yoga. So these are all the different types of yoga. The King Yoga is everything. The king yoga is a yogi who practices yoga of devotion, yoga of service, yoga of technique, yoga of study, everything. That's Raja Yoga. That's the king yoga. And then there's the 8-limb path of Patanjali. So that's the one that if you go to a yoga class, that's the one you'll probably experience the most. Patanjali, he was, they aren't even sure if it was one man or several men or if it was, but he was basically, this was like 200 AD, and he put together the Yoga Sutras, which is kind of like the Yoga Bible. It's kind of like the book that all yogis go to, the Yoga Sutras. And their sutra means thread. So thread is, we all know that threads make up a beautiful tapestry. So all of the sutras, the 196 sutras that he has in this book, form this beautiful tapestry of yoga. And he covers so many different topics in there, but he covers the eight main limbs are the yamas, niyamas, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. So the yamas and niyamas are basically your moral and ethical precepts. The asana, there it is. So there's your class. There's the asana practice, the practice of technique. It's only the third limb. So all of us who think, no, yoga is this practice. Yes, yoga is the class, but it's really only the third limb. Pranayama is breath control. So we did a little breath control and centering. We inhaled for 3, we exhaled for 4. It's a proven technique to calm the body down. And yoga teaches us many, many, many different types of pranayama to calm our bodies or to give us more energy. There's many, many different forms of pranayama in yoga that we go through in class a little bit. Pratyahara is this ability to withdraw your senses. I always think of a turtle. Think of a turtle bringing in its limbs, its arms and legs, and now you're just in the shell. Pratyahara is the person that will go, 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 but they recognize, okay, tomorrow I'm going to take the whole day and I'm going to rest and renew and take care of myself. That's practicing pratyahara. That's practicing knowing when it's time to go inward, knowing when it's time to just take care of yourself. That's a very important step in yoga. There are some people that don't. They work, and then they burn themselves out. So pratyahara is very important. Dharana, dhyana, and samadhi are the 3 stages of meditation. In yoga, all yogis pretty much meditate because it's a very important aspect to yoga. So these are the 3 stages. Dharana is the first stage, which we did actually in centering. When we just had that centering, we focused on the breath. So dhyana is that first step of focusing on something. It's either the breath, you can focus on whatever you want to focus on. A beautiful picture, it doesn't really matter. It's just a focus where you start to calm the mind. So that's the first stage. Dhyana is where you get a little bit deeper into that picture that you have in your mind, and samadhi is that final place of bliss. It's where you just let everything go in your mind and you come into this place of no thought, just peace, total stillness. And those are the 3 stages. So that's the 8-limb path. It's probably the most practiced. And he called them limbs because limbs grow together. In other words, it's not linear. It's not that you start with the yamas and niyamas. It's you do all of them together because limbs of a body all grow together. So he called it the 8-limb path. And we're just going to do this really quickly. The yamas are right living with others. So the yamas are how we live in our world, how we treat other people. So ahimsa is non-harming. So we don't kill, it's do not kill. You don't harm anybody. You don't harm any animals. It's non-harming. Okay, so satya is truthfulness. It's always working to be truthful. not only with other people, but with yourself. Asteya is non-stealing. So we don't steal from others. You don't steal not only physical things, but steal their thoughts or their words. Brahmacharya is sense control. So it's not overindulging in food or drink or work. I don't know why my slide did that. It must be, it's something with the, sorry about that. But aparigraha is non-grasping. So non-grasping is, you know how when you just like, I have to have this. I have to have this thing. Well, that's that grasping, and many times that causes us turmoil, mental turmoil, when we feel like we have to have something. We have to have something. So those are the yamas, and then the niyamas are basically how do you live with, right living with yourself. So saucha is cleanliness or self-purification. So to be clean in thought, word, and deed. Santosha, yeah, this is really interesting. What the computer is doing to this presentation, so bear with me. Santosha is contentment. That means to be content with what we have. And that goes back to that grasping. If we, because the yamas kind of play into the niyamas. If we aren't grasping for something, we can find contentment with what we have. Tapas is self-discipline. I love tapas because tapas is the drive that helps us practice all of these practices. So tapas is, it's that motivation or that drive or that heat that says, I'm going to practice this even though it's hard. Svadhyaya is just self-study. It's really studying yourself. It's studying your mind. And then Ishvara Pranadhana is self-surrender. So when we self-surrender and when we give that total surrender, we surrender to something greater than us. So when we surrender, yogis acknowledge that there is a higher consciousness. There's something greater than who we are. So this is where a lot of people will say, oh, I can't come to yoga because it goes against my religion. This isn't a religion, it's a philosophy. And what it's saying, yoga walks hand in hand with any religion, because what it's saying is, be kind, be good, do all these things for other people, do these things for yourself, and believe in that higher power, whatever it is, wherever you find it. I don't know if any of you know the 12 steps in AA. I've had any experience with it, but there's a lot of yoga in those 12 steps, and it's pretty much the same thing. Find that higher power. It doesn't really matter what it is, but there is something greater than us. And that's all that yoga is saying. So if we review the yamas, you know, people say, well, how do we know, you know, what do we get from it? What's the benefits? What are the fruits? Well, the fruits are non-violence, guides us from harming ourselves and others. This is a tough one. Truthfulness guides us from lies to half-truths. We express uniqueness and authenticity. Non-stealing guides us from theft to cultivating new skills and ability. And non-excess guides us from greed to appreciation and pleasure. So we have pleasure, appreciation. I think there's one more in there. What does it say? Oh yeah, non-possessiveness guides us from attachment to intimacy without possession. So we're unattached, we appreciate more, we cultivate new skills, we gain uniqueness, authenticity, and we have compassion for others and ourselves. So there's all these benefits of practicing the yamas, and there's benefits of the niyamas. The niyamas is focusing on our relationship with ourselves, so we change our character from the inside out. So purity basically invites us to cleanse body, our speech, and our thoughts. Contentment invites us to fall in love with our own life. Self-discipline invites us to consciously choose discipline and growth. Self-study invites us to know who we are, and that's key. Surrender invites us to pay attention to what life is asking of us and acknowledge a higher consciousness. So these are all of the benefits that go along with practicing the yamas and niyamas, and in the end, Waldo finds himself. So this is what will happen. You'll find who you really are. Yes, you will. So, whoops. So asana is that third limb. So now we're coming to what everybody can relate to a little bit more, because that's the practice of yoga, the physical practice of yoga. And B.K.S. Iyengar was, he was one of the yogis that brought yoga to the West. And he passed away, I think it was maybe 5 years ago. He was a very sickly little boy, and his father in India gave him to his uncle, who was a master yogi, because he wanted his son to be cured. And so B.K.S. Iyengar, who really they thought was going to die as a child, worked with his uncle and practices yoga. And I saw him in Colorado. He was 90 at that time. He was amazing. He was amazing, and I think he died at 93. But he basically said that the yamas and niyamas, which always stuck with me, are the foundation of performing asana. So in other words, when we're in class, it's not just about the exercise. We're kind to ourselves. We don't practice any judgment. We're kind to others. We're truthful with ourselves. We're content with where we are in life. We're content with, we aren't like, oh my gosh, I can't do this pose. You know, the I can't thing always in class. You know, it's like, no, well, what can you do? We can modify it. So the yama, he was right. The yamas and niyamas are this underlying current to this asana practice that makes it so much more rich and really helps us as human beings. So we talked a little bit about people coming to class for different reasons. The intention of the physical practice is to bring awareness to the body and mind and the energy of how we're feeling. So this is where it's not about the result. It's really about the journey. Yoga is all about the journey. Yogis let go of any result. It's the journey and the travel to get there. That's so important. So the class brings us more fully into something. And it brings us more fully into something which allows us to adjust ourselves. Not only physically adjust ourselves, but adjust our minds to understand what we're thinking at times that are making us suffer, or that make us uncomfortable, or that make us, you know, not happy. So the class brings us more fully into something. But yoga is an invitation to open up to who we truly are. And that's basically, it's all about finding your true self. And it will help you define your relationship with the world. So if you don't like something in your life, yoga gives us these tools of how we can change it. So, exercise. Now, I thought I would get it in the exercise. I wanted you to know a little bit about the philosophy, but exercise, we all know it's good for us. But I have a story about Edna, who, this is kind of a true story. The name has changed, but I'm going to read the story about Edna, who never did yoga before, and she was 70 years old. So once upon a time, on a quaint little island, lived a spirited 70-year-old lady named Edna. And Edna was known for her quick wit, love for cookies, and a firm belief that her couch was a world-class travel destination, at least for afternoon naps. So one sunny afternoon, while munching on her favorite chocolate chip cookies, Edna stumbled upon a commercial for a local senior yoga class. The instructor was a woman of her age who made yoga look easy. I can do that, Edna thought, and her mind was racing with vibrant images of herself in all sorts of poses. With a chuckle and a mischievous grin, Edna decided to give it a whirl. How hard can it be, she muttered. She tossed her cookies aside, she donned a pair of bright purple leggings from the 80s, and an they said pour a glass, while secretly hoping nobody would be watching. As she entered the class, she was greeted by a mix of enthusiastic seniors, some who reminded her of her old high school friends, the ones who possibly forgot what a treadmill was. They all looked at Edna, who was ready to begin to make a change in her life. So the class started, and Edna quickly realized that she might have underestimated the power of those exercises. Half moon pose, she joked as she clumsily tried to follow along. Soon, she discovered that with using props or a chair, she could do everything, but in a way that worked for her. And she did this, but not avoiding knocking over a water bottle on a fellow classmate. But Edna wasn't discouraged. Infused with a newfound energy and determination, she said, if I can't be graceful, I'll at least be enthusiastic. And from that day on, she found joy in every twist, turn, squat, laughing her way through working muscles she didn't even know she had. So as the weeks passed, she created her own moves, cookie warrior, chair shuffle. Everyone loved her charm and humor, and it made her workouts feel like a fun get-together instead of a chore. She even ventured in the gym and started walking on the treadmill for 20 minutes before class. So from that day on, she noticed she was getting stronger. She had more endurance, she had more stamina, cleaning wasn't so hard, she could turn her head more easily in the car to look behind her when she drove, she could bend and lift things much easier, and she didn't need her afternoon naps anymore. She showed everyone that exercise and yoga could be fun, no matter your age, and the laughter was the best workout of all. But she never stopped munching on her cookies. After all, a little balance never hurts anyone. So that is actually a true story. This is Edna. She's one of my students. She's 85 now. She still comes to yoga. So she's a sweetheart. So if Edna can do it, so can you. Believe me. So exercise keeps us moving, gives us more stamina and endurance. It's important to stay strong. I just want to take a minute to tell a story. I know this personally because about 15 years ago, I was in a head-on collision and fractured vertebrae, broke ribs, knees were fractured, ankles were broken. I was given 25% chance to live. Had surgery, and it was a tough recovery, but I got out finally of the hospital and I did a little rehab, and I thought, I'm gonna go back to yoga class. But let me back up a little bit. When I was in the hospital during this time, I don't know if any of you have spent time in a hospital after surgery or whatever, but they have this dry shampoo that because you can't get out of bed, so they use this dry shampoo to wash your hair. I hated it. So I remember the nurse came in and she was gonna wash my hair, and I went, oh, I don't like that dry shampoo. I said, I just want somebody to wash my hair. Can I? She said, I'm gonna tell you something, Susie, if you can walk over to probably where the computer is, if you can walk over to that sink, I'll wash your hair. So I hadn't gotten out of bed yet, but they always had that walker there, right there, ready for me to venture out. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. So I got up, and it was extremely hard because my ribs were broken. And I'm holding on to this walker, and I'm walking, trying to get over to this sink, and I made it, and I did get my hair washed, and it was wonderful. But I said to her, what do people do that aren't strong before an accident or an illness? She said they never make it back. They'll never make it back 100%. So that was like a lesson that I passed on to my yoga students for a long time after that. I said, you need to think about exercise, or you need to think about, if it's not yoga for you, you need to think about something to keep your body strong, because if you get in an accident or if you have any illness that comes your way, you can fight it and you have a better chance of making it back 100%. And we don't think about that. I didn't think about that. I never thought about that. So I think it's just a really important thing to think about when we don't exercise. So exercise, as we know, also boosts our mood, releases endorphins, so you're going to feel better, which you're likely to, they're like little happiness boosters. Staying active, we all know, keeps life more fun. It's a great way to socialize. We have a lot of fun in yoga class, a lot of laughs, and it doesn't take much. Quote from a cardiologist that I heard just last week. He said, 1 minute of movement gives us 5 minutes of health. So it's really not about exercise, it's just moving. Just keep moving. Find something that you like, find something to do, and move. So small steps matter. So just like taking the stairs instead of the elevator. A lot of things we can do. So I just wanted to say that if anyone has any questions, we can take some questions. Or I thought I could do a little chair yoga class with you, just a little sample. So any questions before we start this? Okay, so what I would recommend is just finding a spot where you can move your arms and legs so that you aren't running into something. So. There's plenty of room up here, guys. It's a great thing to do in the morning before you get up. I mean, after you get up. Just 2 more times, just following your breath. And then you just come back to neutral. Good job. So let's bring our knee, can we pull our knee up? If that doesn't work, you just do the best to find a spot that does. So we're going to just point and flex our foot. So now we're going to start to loosen up that ankle joint. Point and flex, holding the knee up. And then go ahead and circle your ankle around, go the other direction. You might hear some cracks. Cracks are good. Inhale up. And the other side. And then inhale up. And exhale, hands down. So let's go ahead and separate our knees. And again, find that comfortable seat. We always want to extend through the spine on the inhale. So you're always lifting and extending the spine. Arms come up to the side. And then just reach out through those right fingertips. Actually, you can go either side. I know, I should try to mirror. I did try to do that one time, and I wasn't very good. I got everyone all mixed up because I couldn't. And some teachers are really good at mirroring. And then coming back, and then other direction. So you might feel it in a lot of different spots. So we're resting out. So inhale to center, and exhale, stretch. Inhale to center, exhale, stretch. Good job. Inhale to center, exhale, stretch. One more time. Inhale to center, exhale, stretch. Now inhale to center. We're going to take our left forearm, place it under our left thigh. And we're going to reach our arm up overhead. Look up if you can. And reach that right arm overhead. So now notice if you're caving into this left elbow. I want you to press that elbow away and press your shoulder away. Lift and stretch. So now go ahead and look at your fingertips if you can. If this is comfortable for your neck only. Otherwise you can look down. And then allow your arm to come all the way back. And if you can follow your head, follow your eyes with your fingertips, and then exhale, come forward. Inhale, come back. Exhale, forward. So again, you're honoring your shoulder on this one. If your shoulder says, I don't like this, and you're going to modify it. Maybe put your hand on your shoulder. Maybe bring your shoulder down and you're just doing something smaller. So now begin to rotate that arm behind you. Now we're going to start to open those intercostal muscles. But again, honor your shoulder. This is not always comfortable. So you find what works for you. So you can bring that, like I said, a lot of people just do an elbow, or they'll come down here and do it. So we got one more time around. Inhale all the way back up. And come back to our sit up. Now we're going to extend to the side again. Inhale back. Extend the other direction. Good job. Inhale back. I love this. You guys look awesome. We need a movie of this. No. What goes in yoga stays in yoga.
Yes. Not on this outside.
One more time. My students also know that when I talk a lot, that I just want them to keep doing what I have them doing. So bring that arm, place that right forearm down, bring the left arm overhead, and then just let it come back, open up, you open your chest, and then again exhale over. And you can watch it with your eyes if it's comfortable. But again, always do what's comfortable. You find stira sukha. Those are two words for asana practice, which means ease and comfort in every pose. So if your face is gripping, or if you're struggling, then you've gone too far. You need
No,
to.
you're not working hard enough.
Oh, come on.
You gotta find
That's
that
why I was taught
balance.
you're not working hard enough. You don't have that.
You gotta find that balance. So then start to bring that arm behind you and make big circles. Yep. Yep. And then exhale down, press into the, with your right hand, now we're bringing the left arm up. Yep, so we're twisting, we're squeezing those organs. And then exhale down, and then slowly roll up, vertebrae by vertebrae. So you're just rolling up, head comes up last. There we go.
Remember, we said we wanted to do this.
Alright, we're almost done. Let's bring our feet in. Right arm out to the side, and just drop left ear to left shoulder. So we want to just kind of gently stretch, and you can make little circles with your right hand. Just working to take that whole line of muscle into the neck and release it. And then slowly bring that arm back. Other arm comes out, drop right ear to right shoulder. And again, just some small circles. You always want to make sure you're sitting up nice and tall. Yep, beautiful. And then slowly release. Do one more for the hip. Bringing that knee in, see if you can take your right ankle and place it over your left knee. If this is not available to you, you can just cross your ankles. So once we're here, bring the arms out in front, and we're just going to allow the arms to come forward, and you're going to lean over this leg. Now, you're probably feeling it in your right hip. So this is just working to open that hip to try to gain a little bit more flexibility there. Because our hips get really tight. So there's a lot of poses that we just go into that we just hold for a little bit. You always have my permission to come out of the pose at any time. Always. We got one more breath here. And then slowly come up. Let's do the other side. Let's let it down. And again, you just can't get this ankle up here. Cross your ankles. Arms in front, and then just hinge from the hips, bringing the chest down toward the line. And once you're there, you just relax. So remember, Sthira Sukha, ease and comfort.
Head up or spine straight, which are we supposed to be slumped or?
You can
spine
round the
straight?
back on this one. You can relax the upper body because the weight of the upper body will just kind of, and you really aren't rounding too much, you're just kind of relaxing this to get a deeper stretch.
But if your
But
joints
that
are
was a
tight,
good
don't
question.
push. Your joints are tight, don't push. Reminds me of further stretching track and field.
Yeah, there we go. And one more breath. I always say keep breathing. Keep
No
breathing.
passing out with this.
The breath is really important. Remember pranayama, you're gonna know this now, pranayama, you're all gonna be experts. And then roll the spine back up. And we place that foot on the floor, inhale, arms up. And exhale, arms down. Oh, I just thought of one more. Do you want to do one more?
Sure.
Okay.
Over here.
Okay, so
Just one other thing, remember we have this on tape, so the next fundraiser for, anyway, we have the drawing for the $25 gift card from Jackson Harbor Soup. Would you do the honor, just pull one of those out of there? Oh, Dave, he's not here. Okay. Dave Guzelic. Yeah. Dave Guzelic. Yeah, he left already. Yeah. Okay, but we'll get it to him. Okay. Thank you, Susie. That was absolutely incredible. And as Susie said, she is at the rec center on Yoga Monday at 9:30. And then yoga flow.
That's where we're actually gonna get on the floor, so if you don't mind getting on the floor, it's actually good.
Okay, that's Thursday. Okay, thank you all for coming. Remember up front, we have some information for you and other things that are happening with White Chip. And hope to see you next Wednesday at Coffee, Cookies, and Conversation. Thanks, bye.